The police have been urged to rewrite the rules on hate crime after a judge likened a force to the Gestapo over its handling of a businessman who tweeted about transgender people. Mr. Justice Julian Knowles warned yesterday that Britain was in danger of slipping into an Orwellian society after a gentleman by the name of Harry Miller was visited by officers at work and told his tweets would be recorded as a non-crime hate incident. What did he tweet? Well, it was on the subject of transgender people, which I think the debate on trans rights has become exceedingly toxic over recent times. And the tweet included a limerick about transgender people, and it said, "I was assigned a mammal at birth, but my orientation is fish. Don't mis-species me." Well, Harry Miller joins me live on the line. Morning to you, Harry.
Morning.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to us here on Talk Radio. What did you mean, firstly, when you sent the tweet saying, "I was assigned mammal at birth, my orientation is fish, don't mis-species me"?
Okay, it's a little bit of existential satire, because if it's possible that we can self-identify out of a chromosomal biological reality, and simply by saying so, we can go from male to female, then why can we not cross the boundary between species? That's what that is about. Why can we not do that? And if I identify as a fish, if you call me a mammal, why is that not a hate incident?
Well, in fairness, I think you would probably know the difference between changing species and changing gender. For instance, there are
No. You just said there, changing gender. Gender and sex are two entirely different things. Mr. Justice Knowles, in his judgment, said that he was taking a chromosomal base view of sex. Now, chromosomes are immutable. Therefore, sex is immutable. Gender is an entirely different matter. Gender is a load of nonsense. Gender is a set of expectations, norms.
And do you accept that someone's gender can be different to the sex that they were assigned at birth? That someone can have gender dysphoria?
I don't even understand the question. Define gender for me.
Well, gender is whether you feel, I suppose, for want of a better word, whether you are male or female. You can be born into a certain sex, you can be born into a certain body, but you can feel that you are the wrong gender for the sex in which you were assigned at birth. And that's why there is a medical condition known as and recognised as gender dysphoria. So do you accept that that exists?
Yeah, gender dysphoria exists. Of course it exists. But the fact that there is a gender dysphoria does not alter in any way, shape or form the facts of biological sex. Now, in this country, we have sex-based rights, not gender-based rights, sex-based rights. And what we are arguing for is the respect for sex-based rights. You can identify how you like, but that does not give you the right to then walk into a space that is designated female just because you've decided that you're female when your entire biology is male.
But I understand that that's a valid stance, whether people agree with it or not, but surely you see that it's perhaps a little bit provocative and perhaps not very kind when you... Well, hang on, I haven't finished my question yet, Harry. I haven't finished my question yet, Harry.
We're fed up with kind.
I haven't finished my question yet, Harry. You must surely understand that it's a little bit different from actually changing your entire species, which is what your tweet was implying. For instance, there are many species within being a clownfish or an eel or few other of the particular species that can actually change gender within their species. That's not them changing species, that's them changing gender. There are also particular scientific evidence to show that whether you agree with this or not, that there are perhaps differences in the brain between people who have gender dysphoria within being human. Now, none of that equates to actually changing into becoming a different animal. And so do you perhaps accept that whilst you have valid and reasonable points to make regarding whether you believe the way gender dysphoria has been handled is reasonable or not, actually to equate it to changing to a different animal is not particularly helpful.
No, I don't at all. We keep getting back to clownfish. We're not fish. I was joking when we said I'm a fish. Clownfish have nothing to do with it. Mammals do not change sex. No mammal changes sex. We're not clownfish, we're mammals. And no mammal changes sex.
And no mammal changes into a different animal either.
No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That is exactly what I'm saying. We are stuck with what we are. That's it. If we don't like it, then we need to seek help. But it doesn't change what we are.
So you still stand by that it's a helpful tweet within the debate, then?
Yes, it is a helpful tweet within the debate.
You don't think it sort of devalues the angst and the issues that trans people go through? You don't think that perhaps it's simplifying the debate to the point where actually it stops being helpful and actually could be quite harmful to how trans people are treated?
No, it's not harmful at all. It's an ontological comment, and that's what we'll have to do. And what's quite amazing to me is that we're all concerned about the feelings of trans people. Nobody seems to give a monkeys about the feelings of women. And 52% of our population are women. Nobody seems to care that we are systematically, as men, taking away their rights to sex-based spaces, and all we're bothered about is the hurty feels of a few men.
Well, in fairness, transgender people have the highest suicide rate of any of the members of the LGBT community. Hate crimes...
No, they don't. No, they do not. There is... Absolutely, they do not. That is one of those fake statistics. Absolutely fake statistics.
Tell me why you think that's fake.
Even if it were true, it is not the responsibility of us to tell a lie in order to solve their problem.
I mean, more than 4 in 5 trans people have received verbal or name-calling abuse. 3 in 5 have received threats and intimidation. More than a third have experienced physical assault. More than 1 in 4 have attempted suicide, and 90% have thought about committing suicide. So in that context, again, are your comments helpful? Do you not accept those are real statistics? Do you think that they're lies?
Right. 2 things. One, I bet you a pound to a penny that those statistics were produced by Stonewall. Stonewall have a habit of producing absolute utter nonsense and passing it off as fact. That's point one.
What's your basis for saying that? What's your basis for pointing that out? Have you any other studies that they've come up with that you can point to that have been fabricated, or are there any other investigations?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. They will call on statistics from Brazil and other parts of the world where life is very, very dangerous, and then they will apply them to this country. But that's point one. Point two is, even if those facts were true, it is still not the responsibility of women or men who are interested in the rights of women to propagate a lie. Trans women are not actual women. They are men.
I mean, I'm looking up these stats at the moment, and they are UK-based, based on a sample of 956 people. The 41% of trans people who've been attacked or threatened. That was an LGBT survey from 2012. That was of 813.
Who produced the survey?
It was of, I'm just looking it up right now. I mean, I'm reading it from the Stonewall website, but they're giving...
reading it from the Stonewall website.
But yes, but they're giving their sources.
But here's the point. Even if that was true, that's not the story. The story here is that the government called upon us to have a debate. The government called upon us. I engaged, along with many other women, in the debate. And the police decided that they didn't like our position in the debate and acted like the Gestapo, the Stasi, and the Cheka.
By the way, Harry, I don't disagree that the police were wrong to do that, and I don't disagree with your right to be able to articulate that you disagree with self-identification in the context of women's safe spaces. Actually, you'd have heard me, I don't know if you were listening, but you might have heard me challenging Peter Tatchell on that very fact. I don't disagree that that's something that I think is potentially problematic. What I'm uncomfortable with, Harry, is that I don't feel like it progresses the debate, and I don't feel it should be a crime, but I don't feel it progresses the debate, and I don't feel like it's particularly helpful to make comparisons between changing from one species to another, from one animal to another, because you know full well, as I do, no one is talking about the trans debate in that context. No one is. And I think you're kind of cheapening the debate. And I think actually the valid points you're making get slightly cheapened by you suggesting that you might identify as a different animal.
It's satire. It's satire. The point I'm making is that we are stuck absolutely with our biological reality. And I can no more change from mammal to fish than I can change from male to female. It's as simple as that. It's a valid point.
It's not very kind, though, is it?
I don't care about kind. I don't care about kind. The whole notion that...
Have you ever been a member of a repressed minority?
I don't care about kind. I don't care.
I mean, do you care that perhaps minorities might not have it particularly easy, and it would be nice to actually engage in the debate with them in a way that doesn't cheapen things?
I think it would be really nice if the class of people known as women were able to meet together and not be labelled a hate group by the Labour Party. I think it would be great if they could meet down in Brighton.
And how does you sending a tweet comparing a mammal to a fish achieve that then?
Because it's right. I've just justified that. I've said that we are stuck with our biology. You can no more change from mammal to fish than you can change from male to female. And I think the notion that you can is very, very dangerous.
I know, but I get what you're saying. I totally get your stance. I'm not disagreeing with your ability and your right to push that stance. I just, I guess.
Do you not think it's a valid point to make?
I do think it's a valid point to make. I just don't think you're very kind. I just don't think you're very nice.
How is that not kind?
Because what you're doing is you're making an assumption. You're almost making a point that people who are trans that feel that they are in the wrong sex for the gender that they are,
You can't be the wrong sex. You are what you are. I can no longer...
So do you not consider someone who has then actually been through transition surgery, they have actually been through the surgery and been through the really, really difficult decision to actually have their male organs removed and live the rest of their lives as women, you believe that it's right to compare that to changing from an animal to a fish?
I think they haven't changed sex. That's what's happened. They haven't changed sex. Humans do not change sex. It's as simple as that. I think it's an absolute travesty what's happening to people who go through sex transition surgery because they're being sold a lie. And even worse when this is done on children.
Well, okay, the children is another debate whatsoever, but how about the fact that the majority go on and live far, far happier and more settled lives once they've done that? They could have had years and years of therapy and not had this issue solved, but then gone on to live much more happier and fulfilled lives once they have had the transition surgery.
Yeah, great, good for them. Good for them.
Great. Well, then how does comparing their experience to changing from one animal to another helping that? How is doing that helping the debate and not cheapening and not discrediting what they've gone through?
Okay, one, I'm not commenting on the lived experience of any single individual. An individual will go and do what they need to do in order to find peace. That's absolutely fine. The comment is that no amount of surgery can change you from one sex to another sex any more than any amount of surgery can change me from a mammal to a fish.
All right, you made that point, and Harry, I appreciate that.